Hi, today we're going to be learning how to oxyacetylene weld and braze. The main difference between oxyacetylene welding and brazing is the oxygen acetylene welding fuses the base metals together with a steel rod, and a brazing sticks, like glues the two metals together. It doesn't actually penetrate or melt the base metal. Right. Okay. The first item we're going to be using is gas welding rod. This is steel rod with a copper coating on it. The copper coating is to protect it from oxidizing while it's in storage. This is brazing rod. This is a brass alloy that requires a flux. This will be a flux that the brass rod will be dipped into when the rod is heated. We've got a striker for creating spark to start our torch. We've got a oxyacetylene torch with a #1 tip setup. Action. This is our gas welding setup. The green bottle is oxygen, the red bottle is acetylene. The oxygen bottle will be set between 5 and 15 pounds, and the acetylene will be set between 1 and 5 pounds. The acetylene cannot go over 15 pounds of pressure, or else it will separate and explode. The safety gear we're going to be using is welding leathers. This will protect my arms and chest from sparks, gloves, and goggles with a #5 lens so that our eyes don't get affected. We'll also have a fire extinguisher nearby in case there's any emergencies. Okay, I've got my acetylene set at 15 pounds, my oxygen set at 15 pounds, and I've got my acetylene set at 5 pounds, and we're ready to start our process. We want our safety glasses on and hood up because we're not going to be welding, so the spark's not going to be bright right this second. We turn our gas on and light. Now I'm going to introduce the oxygen into the acetylene at a very slow rate. Okay. Stop for a second though. We've got our flame adjusted down, so our oxygen mixture and the acetylene mixture is correct. We've got our little sharp little point down there, and we're ready to start brazing. Okay, we're going to heat up our brass rod first thing and get it warm so we can get that flux to stick to it. We jam that down in there, and you can see the flux is adhered to that. It's a little light on there, so we'll probably run another pass across there. Get a little more on there, and there we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to heat up our base metal till it's cherry red, and then we're going to apply our brass rod to there. And once again, we don't melt the metal with brazing. All we're doing is heating it up so the brass will be fluid. Okay, as you can see, the metal's starting to get cherry red, but it's not melted. It's going to fade real quick. We're going to go ahead and start brazing. So I'm dabbing in. We're going to dab in the brass and move down the line. Now these pieces of metal we've got here are lapped. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to heat the metal up, the top piece of metal up, so the brass will actually flood in between the two pieces of metal, so we're not just adhering it at the edge, we're going to adhere it all the way across there. And we got to keep our... Okay, as you can see, here's our brazed weld there. The metal is, you can see the two layers there, the metal is flooded back. Okay. Alright, here's our braze. As you can see, the metals are lapped here, and the weld is fused up in there, making a strong bond. Alright, hi, we're going to be doing some wire feeding welding here. We've got a Miller SP125 welder. Our arc volts right now are set on G. Our wire feed set on 4.5. We're hooked up to a bottle of Stargon, which is compressed argon and CO2. We're going to be running 30 CFM of gas through our torch. What that does is that cleans the weld as we're burning through there. That's actually the flux. Instead of a solid flux, we're using a gas flux. Alright, we're going to be welding some 14 gauge mild steel today. We've got our torch tip and our ground. We need to clamp our ground onto a metal object that our material that we're going to be welding is attached to. Our safety gear we're using today, we're going to be using a set of welding leathers to protect our arms and chest from sparks, a pair of gloves to protect our hands, a welding hood with a #11 shaded hood in it, lens in it to protect our eyes, and a fire extinguisher for any emergencies. Okay, the process, what we're going to use is, we've got two pieces of metal here that are going to float. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply a tack at this end, just a little small weld, attack at this end, and tack in the middle. That'll hold our material in place. Then we will hold the torch at about a 10-degree angle. We'll pull the trigger and we'll weld forward down the middle of the joint, oscillating the welding tip slightly as we go. And then we will complete our weld. This may not be visible while we're welding because it's too bright. All right, right now Dylan's going to apply a tack weld at one end of the steel.
Okay, that was bad.
All right, now he'll attack the other end. And one in the middle. All right, as you can see, our wire is sticking out of our in front of our torch too far. So what Dylan needs to do is he needs to trim it back to about a ½ inch from the tip. All right, we're ready to run the bead. Go for it. All right, as you can see, there's our completed weld. We've got a nice bound over the bead, and if Dylan flips it over, the metal over, you can see the penetration, the discolored metal and the warped metal on the back side where we've got full penetration on the weld. That's all there is to it.